All right, I want to help you get a big chest. So I'm going to simplify right now with 5 tips and then I'll expand. Number 1, retract your scap, shoulders back. It will help you get a better chest connection on all of your movements. Number 2, drop the weight so you're not ego lifting. Number 3, slow your tempo down to help you with a better mind muscle connection and more tension. Tip 4, if you have a hard time getting a chest connection on all your movements, then pre-exhausting with isolation movements. And tip 5, going to absolute failure. And if it's hard for you to achieve failure, do drop sets or supersets, whatever advanced technique you need to get there, but push it and get as much blood flow as possible. You do these 5 things, you'll have a massive chest. Let's expand. Chest, that's why you clicked on this video, right? Chest day is the best day. It's one of the most common questions I get asked is how to build a big chest. So here's everything I know step by step on how to build a big chest. From beginner to intermediate to, I mean, I got a pretty good chest. I wouldn't say it's the best in the world, but it's pretty damn good, and that's why you're watching this video. Just so you know my credentials and I'm not just talking, let's have a look at my chest. Let's see what I invest into my chest. Not really pumped at the moment, but we got some chest there. But I don't want to distract too many people. I want you to actually listen to this advice, so I'll put something on. Okay. Right, no more distractions. I want you to pay attention to these tips. They're going to be really helpful. Hey, my eyes up here. Are you listening? All right, let's get serious. You're here for the juicy part, so you can have some juicy pecs. All right. Most importantly, I work at a lot of different gyms. I've been doing PT for a long time, and I'll see some of these common mistakes. So let's go through them right now, very quickly. Let's rattle it off. Number 1, the weight that you're lifting. If you can't lift it properly, drop the weight. I see a lot of people with an anterior tilt, which is shoulders rolled forward like this. And they might have a big bench and they might have big lifts, but they're pushing from their front delt and their tricep more than their chest, okay? So that means they're lifting too much weight that they can actually get better engagement with, and they're prioritizing that lift obviously because they want a big chest, and it's actually being counterproductive. So tip 1, on all of your chest movements, shoulders back on everything. You will get more chest engagement with your shoulders rolled back, retracting your scaps, than you will just laying flat and rolling from the shoulders. Shoulders back, every single movement, prioritize that, you'll get better chest engagement. Already that's going to improve everything if you're not doing it. Tip number 2, and pay special attention to both tip 2 and 3, because they don't really coincide, but if you listen closely, it'll make sense. Tip 2 is your ego lifting. How many people will you see, like I said, have a big bench, have big lifts, and still not have a big chest? Again, because they're driving from their tricep and their front delt, and they're telling you how much they bench, and they're throwing big weights around, but they're not focusing on that contraction and connection. Drop the weight. Who cares what you lift if your chest doesn't look the way you want it to? Okay? Very, very simple. But tip 3 is get stronger. So how do they coincide? Let me tell you. There are some people that prioritize strength phases and some people that prioritize bodybuilding, but they do coincide for the simple reason of, if you're stronger, even if you're doing a heavy bench for 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 rep, whatever, that's not necessarily going to build you a big chest, but being stronger on your hypertrophy sets is going to help you build a big chest. The simple reason of progressive overload, right? If you can bench 50 kilos for 10 reps, you go through a strength block, even if you're doing low reps, the 1, 2, 3 reps, they're not going to build your chest, but the hypertrophy sets will. If you can bench 50 kilo for 10 reps, do you think you'll build muscle off benching 80 kilos for 10 reps, 90 kilos for 10 reps with good form? I think you will. I see people take a different route sometimes, and they focus a lot on mind-muscle connection, but they're still lifting the 20 kilos for 10 reps for 6 months. There's no actual progression. You need to apply progressive overload, but with the right form and technique. So well, you know what? Just like life, you got to work on the fundamentals. Strip everything back build up your strength with the right technique and fundamentals. You're watching this video to build a big chest. You can get away through muscling through exercises and lifts on other muscles, but not chest, because chest grows with the mind-muscle connection and blood flow. That's it. And you can miss it on most of these lifts. And it's not about programming. You can have the most basic program, incline dumbbell, flat barbell, pec deck, and you could even just have those 3 exercises. And if you do them well, with progressive overload, a good mind-muscle connection, and failure, you'll build a big chest. Okay, so we've talked about the angle of your shoulders. We've talked about dropping the weight initially so you can get a better mind-muscle connection, but then we've also talked about going through strength building phases. Number 4, pre-exhausting on isolation exercises if you aren't getting a good chest connection on your compound movements. Some people find it very hard to get a really big chest pump if they're barbell benching, even if they're using their dumbbells or even machines. So pre-exhausting on flies, on the pec deck, on a lot of flying movements will help the chest take more of the load in the compound movements. That's going to be very important. I've helped people build a lot more chest growth by applying this method, because again, for some reason there was no connection, it just wasn't firing. So we would just hit the pec deck for 5 sets, slow it down, squeeze, really get a lot of blood flowing there, and they found that their chest was actually getting DOMs, they were actually getting fatigue, they were actually working their chest on their compound movements. So this is a very helpful tip if for whatever reason you can't get that mind-muscle connection, pre-exhausting will help. Lastly is people are not going to failure. They're going to failure on the lift, but not through the chest. Again, it's so common to dumbbell bench, barbell bench, even with machines. But most of the time the fatigue will come from the tricep and they can no longer press anymore. That's why it's really important to either do drop sets where you halve the weight and you keep going. Doesn't have to be half. Or you do supersets. I really like supersets when it comes to chest. Supersetting a compound lift into an isolation, or sometimes an isolation with already exhausted chest into a compound movement is something that I'll program in as well. Just getting as much blood flow to the chest as possible with the right form. If you do these things, your chest will grow. I don't want to overcomplicate this and make a really long video because people won't listen to these tips. I wanted to rattle them off really quickly. But it's not hard. Like the principles of bodybuilding will always apply. Progressive overload, making sure that you can do more next week than you did last week. Blood flow to the muscle is always going to stimulate that stress response and help you build muscle. It's not any different for the chest, but the main things that I see with the chest that go wrong are people not actually engaging their chest. These tips will help you get that better engagement, more blood flow, more growth. If you found this video helpful, leave a like, leave a comment, apply these tips. I actually want to see how it improves your chest gain. So till the next one, thanks for watching.